So thanks a lot for that. Okay, so before going to the actual topic, so first of all, I will brief you all about myself and how was my journey was till that point. Okay. So, and if you guys don't mind, can you please turn on your videos? Even I will do myself, so it can be more interactive and would be a fun session because I don't want to be a monotonous session. So that if you guys don't mind, can you please turn on your videos? Okay, no problem. Okay, so first of all, so as you guys might be knowing that myself Saurabh Gupta. So I have basically I have born and brought up in Nagpur only. I've finished all my schooling from Nagpur only. Then I did my graduation in electronics from the same college and passed out in 2016. Then after that, I got campus placed in Accenture, Infosys, and Wipro. Then I decided to go with the Accenture. Then my professional IT career starts in 2016 with the Accenture. In Accenture, initially I was trained in BI tools and ETL tools. So then, so and I was the part of that project only where I got chance to learn all these things as the practical implementation. So basically, I was in Accenture till at around 2.5 years. I was in Accenture. Then after that, I moved to a new company that's Merkle Socrates. So there, I got a better chance and better opportunity to explore my skills and enhance my skills. Then I moved out to that company. There also I got to explore much about my existing skills like ATL skills and cloud computing also. So from there my journey of cloud computing starts. And right now, recently I am working in Ugam Solution and recently been promoted to the tech lead there. And after that only I've just completed my AWS certification. Yeah. Okay. So that's all of what about myself till now. Okay, so I will quickly present my screen. Yeah. So just let me know once my screen is visible to you guys. Is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes, Saurabh,
Hello.
it is visible.
Come on, guys, make it an interactive session. I don't want to be such a monotonous session. So because I'm not here to make you experts in AWS something like that, but just I will show you the path which can you can follow so that you can also be on the landing on the on the side direction for clearing the AWS certification. So if it will be a good if it's an interactive session so that I can be able to help you a lot. Okay, yeah. So as you guys knowing that we will be covering this content as already Lokesh sir has already told that we will be covering this particular 5 topics where we'll be talking about the why the cloud computing with AWS. So first of all, what is cloud computing and why this why you can choose this particular option to pursue your career. Also, what are the various certifications available in AWS that you can pursue, and then after that we'll talking about the what are the prerequisites. I cannot say it's a prerequisite, but it's a good to have thing. If you have all these things, then it will be easy for you to understand the different services that are present in AWS. After that, yeah, I will be sharing the my experience about and how I studied and what will the study material you can also refer, so that you can that will be helpful for your preparation. And last but not the least, what is the exam pattern that's there, that is there for certification, and what are the few tips and tricks that you can follow that will be very helpful in clearing your certification. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, so we'll start with the very basic question. So what is cloud? Because everyone might not be knowing what exactly the cloud. We have been hearing this particular thing, cloud, where what is cloud, and everybody's talking about cloud computing. So the basic question is what is cloud, where exactly is the cloud, and are we already using the cloud thing or not? So first of all, I want to know about from the audience what exactly by your means what exactly the cloud is. Anyone can please feel free to answer. Hello, no one is there. Hello.
I guess they are more interested to hear you, right?
Okay, yeah. So if I know what their knowledge about,
Yes.
but their understanding about cloud, then it will be helpful for me to understand them better. So if anyone, just a random,
Sir,
it's not a, yeah,
sir,
yeah.
cloud is an online storage.
Okay, nice. Anyone else? Okay. Next, again a question. So are we already using a cloud thing or not, or or it's again a black box for us?
Yes, sir, we are using it.
Okay, we are already using it. Can you tell me any example that any services that you're using that's on the cloud?
Yes, sir, the online sheets, forms, or the drive, all these are the cloud where the data is stored in some other place and
Okay,
we access it through internet.
nice, nice. Yeah. So, okay, we'll talk about what is cloud. So basically, in very layman term, cloud is nothing but it's internet. Whatever network or internet that is refers to a cloud. It's not a very unknown thing for everyone. We already are using all these things. So cloud is nothing but it's, let's suppose, it's already all the services or the platforms or the functionality is present already in somewhere in the remote location, and we can access that. That's the simple thing that in a layman, very layman term, you can cloud the cloud. You will get a more technical definition everywhere in the anywhere, but in the very layman, just to get the understanding what is cloud. So cloud is nothing but a internet by which by internet we can access whatever we are accessing by internet. It's cloud. So to access, we need a network. So it might be any kind of network. It's a WAN, it's wide area network, local area network, or a virtual network. So all this is nothing but a cloud, which are we. There's nothing new that we already are familiar with all these things. Okay, yeah. So as I said, as I asked, are we already using the cloud? So now you might be getting some picture that we all are using the LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and all these things. So that means we are already using the cloud. It is nothing not new that we are not knowing all these things. So we are already using it. Okay, did you get all till this point? Yeah, so that is all about the cloud. Okay, the next question comes, what is cloud computing then? Yeah, so cloud computing is nothing but we can refer is to as basically how we manipulate, basically to use that particular services. We need to configure that thing. We need to access that particular application. So the way or the process or the configuration that needs to access that all the services or the any web pages, it refers to as cloud computing. That is called a cloud computing. Okay, so if we understand this by a simple example, let's suppose let's suppose I want to start up I need to start a one start in work on the startup. Okay, and I have a very much good idea. So let's suppose idea about idea something like, let's suppose I need to make a online food delivery application like Zomato or a big basket kind of thing. Okay, so what all things I will be requiring for to at least to make my web application? Anyone? What all things I will require? Because I have the idea, but to make that idea as a in a real world, to implement that particular idea, what all things I require in a very layman language?
Sir, first of all, we need a website or
Okay,
app, and for that we need front end and back end, and the back end work will be done using cloud computing, and the front end work using HTML, CSS, Node.js, and all.
okay. So let's suppose forget about cloud computing. If I need to implement this particular idea into my on-premise thing, okay. So then how I can do it? What all things I need? As you said, I will be needing. So let's suppose I need to host a big basket kind of application. Okay, so for hosting I will be requiring a stack of servers, right?
Yes, sir.
Because
Yes, sir.
without servers I cannot host any website. So I will be requiring servers. Then if I have servers, then I also need to maintain and troubleshoot. I mean, I need to monitor and maintain that server also, right?
Yes, sir.
That's also on my that also will be on my part. I need to manage and maintain all the servers.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's suppose I already bought, let's suppose 5 gigabyte of server, and let's suppose I also hire a guy that will monitor and maintain the service of that particular server. So that means that there will be a huge investment, huge initial investment I will be requiring,
Yes,
right?
sir. And for that purpose,
Yeah,
there is a concept of cloud. That is, we just take some storage on rent for some time from providers like AWS, and they will do all the storing, processing, and replying to all the calls, and they will have their own servers, and we don't need so much huge
right,
investment initially. So that is why there is
right.
cloud computing.
Yeah, right. So that exactly where is the need of cloud computing or cloud thing comes into the picture, because everything is there because of some reason, right? So as I said, let's suppose I need to host a website in my on-premise server. So I need to first of all buy a very huge server that will cost me a lot. I need to make sure of its monitoring and maintaining. And another the most important factor is that traffic. So because there will be inconsistent traffic, I don't know about my traffic, because let's suppose I built an application and I hosted on my server and on-premise server, and let's suppose I launched it. So I was expecting that there will be around in the initial days there will be around, let's suppose, 1,000 subscribers or 1,000 users of it. But suddenly, let's suppose out of anything, my application gone into a very viral, and let's suppose there are, let's suppose, 10 million subscribers to it, 10 million users to it. Then what about my server? Because I have bought the servers of that of to capacity for 10,000 users only in the initial days. So in that case, there will be a no scalability. So that's the again one of the major reason why there is a need of cloud computing come into the picture. So yeah, so that's where the term cloud computing comes into the picture, because we so now here we don't need to worry about all these things, all the maintenance, all the storage. So it's cloud computing is nothing but, let's suppose you already have storage, ample of storage available in somewhere in the remote location that you can access anywhere from the world. You know, don't need to maintain that particular servers. You don't need to buy, you don't need to worry about the any troubleshooting problem or the infrastructure issue. So here the concept of cloud computing arises. So basically, if I summarize all these things, so cloud computing provides you three features. One of it, you can store your data in any of the remote location and any amount of data. There is no limit on that. Whatever limit you want, you can store that into that particular remote location. Next, you can process process that particular data or application that you have stored on the cloud. And the last thing is, you can also access that all the data that you have stored, or the data or the application that is present in the cloud. So here is the need of cloud computing. So here is the concept of cloud computing arises. Okay, I think so. That's so basically, yeah. So that's all the advantages of cloud computing are. So as we already I think discussed, cost is the major factor, because if I need to implement all these things into my on-premise servers, I need to buy a very huge servers, and that also I don't know about the capacity of it, because let's suppose I buy a 3 gigabyte of server, and my website, as I said, it might go viral and by any means, and I will be having a very huge amount of traffic. So that 3 gigabyte of server won't be able to handle these things. So there is, so I cannot, so basically I need to buy more servers again, that 3 gigabyte of. And let's suppose in a opposite situation, let's suppose I bought a 3 gigabyte of server, and let's suppose my website doesn't work, and it hardly using 1 terabyte of it capacity of it. So my remaining capacity is getting waste, but I need to pay for them. So cost is the major advantage that cloud computing provides, because in cloud computing the cost is whatever amount of services you are using, and for what timing, for which whatever time you are using, that on that only you are billed, or you are applied the, or you are have to you are charged. So cost is a major factor. Multi latency, something like that. Let's suppose you have already So one infrastructure can be used by multiple customers or multiple clients. So that is the multi-latency scalability that I said. You can on demand, you can scale your things. If you need more servers or more storage, you can easily ask to your service provider. It will scale up in a within a minute or within a seconds. You don't need to worry about the scalability. Accessibility, you can access it from anywhere. You just need a internet connection. That's all you need. You don't need to worry about any maintenance and anything troubleshooting about it. So even maintenance, accessibility, all these are the major key advantages of cloud computing. Okay, there are several disadvantages also for cloud computing. I can say security is law. Security one of the disadvantage. I cannot say disadvantage, but it's a thing that your data is also now is not in your control. So you need to share all these things with your service provider. So in a some way, it might possible that any hacker or something like that, because all there it's there in the cloud. So it might possible them hacking or some terror, some virus attack can be there. So this might be a issue of security. Dependency also, because earlier you have your servers in your on-premise servers, so you don't need to be or depend on any of the thing. But now, as you are using the cloud services, you need to be dependent upon the cloud service providers. So whatever service provider you choose, you need to depend on them. Also flexibility, because you cannot customize much thing, because already the services that are present, they have the few variations, but you need to limit themselves. You need to limit yourself in that particular options only. So you cannot customize much. So even cost structure, yeah, even cost is one of the issue. Is not a issue, but because you don't know the cost, you don't know the cost structure. So basically, it might possible that they might be costing you right now. Let's suppose $1 for a second. It might possible they can increase that particular thing, or even, and why, how they are calculating that particular cost, you don't be able to know that thing. So cost, even the knowledge also, because if you are using the cloud service provider, then you also need the knowledge of all the services, how to use all these things. So these are the few disadvantages, but there are many advantages. So yeah. Okay, so now let's talk about the cloud service providers that are already available in the market. I'm pretty much sure you might already be knowing few of them. Okay, so the major cloud service providers are Amazon, Google, Microsoft. These are the three major uh, service providers, cloud service providers in the market. Okay, and if we see their market share, if I just saw that in the latest report for the Q4 2020, so you can clearly see that AWS captures the 32% of the all global market share, and after that Azure and Google Cloud is also there. And you can say that these three major cloud players contribute to the majority of the market that is available, the majority of the global market. So that's give you a pretty much clear understanding that why you need to go, you can why you can choose the AWS as one of your career options, or one of your uh, cloud computing options. You can go with AWS. It's not that you cannot go with Google or Microsoft, even they are also very good. But as you can see that AWS has the majority of shares, majority of the market captures. So it's good to go with AWS as, yeah. So, and now we can also talk about why we can go with AWS. Why AWS should be there. So so as I said, it's not that you cannot go with Azure and or Google Cloud. They're also very equivalent, very good service providers. But AWS has some of the few unique features that makes him the leading cloud platform provider, or the leading cloud computing service provider. Okay, so the one of the key feature is the most functionality. So most functionality basically means AWS has the most services, or the AWS has the most services of the highest number of services that are available in any of the cloud providers. It provides you the services for each and everything that you want to do. So that's the one of the key features. Next is let's suppose, and AWS has the largest number of customers or clients, because as you might also be knowing, AWS was the oldest or the first one who brings this concept of cloud computing. So he is the first, you can say that, a cloud service provider. So he holds the maximum number of clients and the customers. So that's one of the unique key feature of him. Again, AWS claims that he is the most secure cloud computing service provider. So that's one of the key feature of his AWS. Even Yeah, and next is the pace of innovation. So the way the AWS is or you can say evolving and expanding its services or bringing its services, it's commendable, because if you see every quarter they bring a new service or the new feature. So the innovation pace is the fastest among the other cloud service providers. and and the other features, like they have the global networks of AWS region. So as I said, you in cloud computing you can access anything from anywhere. Okay, you don't need to be in that particular location. So AWS has it's their region in almost I think 18 plus regions they have, and which is the maximum that they provide, the AWS provides. Other service providers doesn't provide this many regions. So these are the few unique features that AWS provides, which makes him basically the leading cloud platform. Okay, I think from till this point, I have pretty much clear. I have You might have understood about what is cloud computing and why you can choose AWS for your cloud computing provider, right? Anyone has any doubt or anything that stuck in their mind? Anything want to discuss?
Saurabh, I have one question
Yeah,
that you are saying that the AWS is the leading into the cloud computing services.
right.
Is there any concept like the hybrid one, like where they utilize the AWS, Azure, as well as the Google services?
Yeah, you can do that, but yeah, so basically right now, if you see in the market, only the startup companies are completely migrated from on-premise servers to the cloud or the cloud servers, because for them there's a cost effective thing and all these things. But if you see a big player like MNCs, like let's suppose Accenture, Infosys, and they are still not migrating fully to the cloud services, because they already hold the very big infrastructure, big servers, and all these things. So what they are doing, that now they are using the hybrid cloud computing thing. And hybrid basically means few of the things that they are utilizing their own services or on-premises thing, and few of the things they are doing with the service provider services that they provide. So let's suppose recently I worked in one of the project that called AARP. It's a very big client uh, of US. Okay, so in that, what they did, they also use the hybrid model, where they all the storage and all these things they have kept with their on-premises thing, and few services like let's suppose S3 buckets, in situ. These are the few services that AWS provides. So they have used AWS for the computing power. All the other services, let's suppose for the big data thing or the on streaming data that you want to analyze, or for the analytical features, they have used the AWS thing. So these are the thing now the big players like MNCs or the big players are using it. And you can also do like that you can you can leverage few services from AWS, few services from GCP or Google Cloud Platform, few from Azure. You can do that, but usually it doesn't make sense, because all those things that can be done in AWS, Azure also provide the same kind of services with some different name in Azure, and even Google also provide the same kind of services. So I haven't seen such case, but easily it can do that. It can be applicable. So you need to bear the cost for three of the vendors. It's just like that. But you can do that. This is called the hybrid model. We can You can do that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else from anyone? And yeah.
Sir, is AWS cheapest?
AWS cheapest, in a way you can say, like, it depends on the which services you are using and which capacity you are using. Because let's suppose a few of the services of AWS they cost you by just by using for per second or for per millisecond also. Okay, let's suppose I use S3, or let's suppose I use EC2, a computing services, for let's suppose only for 10 seconds. So they will charge you for only for 10 seconds only. So there are few services that's cheapest in Azure. There are few services that they might be cheaper in Google GCP. So it depends on the for which computing power you are using and which capacity you are using. But definitely the cloud computing provides you the cheapest. You provide you the efficient way of using all the services as compared to the on-premise thing.
Yes, sir.
So
Thank you.
yeah, so it depends on the what exactly you want to implement. So according to that, your business idea or your business model, you will leverage the services and how much you are using and at what capacity you are using. Because let's suppose you are using hardly let's suppose uh, 1 TB of storage, so it will cost you less. But if you are using a 10 MB of storage, it will cost you more. So it depends on capacity and the number of the times and how many servers or how many instances you are using. So all these things compute to the costing part.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Anything from anyone? Okay, I will take it as a no. Okay, so now we will move towards the next section, or the let's suppose the section about how we can pursue the certification in AWS. Okay, so these are the types of certifications that are present in that AWS provides by the AWS community or the AWS company. So yeah, so the basically the certifications that present in the role based certification, all are role based certification. So there is no hard and fast rule that you need to uh, start from the cloud practitioner and you need to do the associate and then you do the professional course. There is no hard and fast rule. You can do from anywhere or you can do the any certification. But if you do in a better man or in a increment order, that will serve your purpose, and then only you will be able to reach that level. Because if you can directly go for the professional, it requires lot of the in-depth knowledge and the hands-on experience. So better to follow their path, but again I say there is no hard and fast rule by them. Okay, so first of all, the role based, there are three types of roles that are basically available if you come into the IT industry. So first of all, first one is the architect level role. Sorry. So architect is nothing but, let's suppose, the person who basically let's suppose the client has already finalized there is already a deal between your company and the client about this particular project. Now you need to, whatever the business scenario or whatever the solution you need to implement, there comes the picture of architect who will decide the what all services you will use, how the particular business solution will be implemented into the solution, what all things, what all the tools, what all the technologies, or what all the services you will be needed. So there comes the role of the architect. And architect always need to make sure that they will they whatever solution they build, it should be efficient, it should be scalable, and it should be the cost efficient also. So these are the role of the architect. And developer is something that, let's suppose, architect has already finalized the roadmap that we need to follow this particular tool stacks and this particular or this particular process. Let's suppose a simple process, let's suppose all the input files or the client files will be there in the S3 bucket. We need to use the S3 bucket to leverage all the input files. Then we need to process that particular files, and we need to also dump all the things into the RDS table or a database table. Okay, so this is the roadmap given by the architect, and how to implement that thing is the role of the developer. Basically, the developer is the one who will write the actual code or the configure the actual thing that make that particular solution working, a working prototype. That's the role of developer. Okay, next one is a sysof administrator. In simple word, it's a DevOps role. DevOps engineer is nothing but the person who basically configures all these things or configures all your infrastructure and environment. Because you cannot simply because to communicate your local servers or your database with S3, you need to configure them, you need to make the connections, we need to establish the connection between them. Like that, this is the role by the DevOps, who makes sure the security thing, who makes sure the configuration thing, who maintains the thing, and also make sure the troubleshoot. So these are the basic three roles been defined by the AWS, or that these are basically three roles that can be that they can use the AWS, or they can basically they are the one who uses the AWS services. Okay, so depend upon which profession or which career or which role you want to go, you can start your journey with the AWS certification. And yes, you can see in the fundamental, and there are three types of basically certificates provided by the, or you can say the four types. First one is the fundamental, second one is the associate one, third one is the professional one, and last one is the specialty certification, or they are the very specialized one, or the very, you can say that expert kind of thing. So these are things certificates. So if you start with the fundamental, so as you can see, if you can pursue any role, if you want to pursue any of the role, you need to start with the basic fundamental thing, or you can start. It's not mandatory that it's a it's an optional thing. If you the so you need you can start with there is a, oh sorry, it's very optional thing. So cloud practitioner certification. So cloud practitioner certification is nothing but it's a very basic kind of the fundamental kind of certification where you require a minimum, or let's suppose at least a basic knowledge of all the services that are provided by the AWS, and also the few hands-on. If you have the hands-on, then it will be very easy for you to clear the certification. So yeah, and we'll also talk in detail about the what is exam pattern and how, what are the number of questions and what are there. So first, so here the important is the cloud certification is the optional. You can also skip that particular certification, and this is the very fundamental and for the fundamental kind of certification. The next, or you can say it a recommendable, or you can say it some or at least a basic kind of certificate. At least you should hold into the market. It's the associate kind of certificate. So to associate is, you now you have to decide in which role you need to go into this. So there is a associate for, if you go for the architect role, there is a AWS certified solution architect certification. If you go for the developer, it's a developer associate certification. And if you want to choose for the DevOps role, you can go for the system ops administrator certification. Okay. So as I said, if so, so in the beginning, let's suppose if you, for all these things, so one thing is pretty much sure, for all this, any of the certification, you require to know all, at least the basic or in depth or in some extent about the all the services and their functionality about all services, because then only you will be know, you will be able to understand the actual role, and also the certifications questions, what's there. So in all of the roles, you must know the the basic functionality, basic services, and the functionality of all the services. Okay. And next here, and then there's a professional. So professional is kind of, let's suppose a level closer to the expert one. Professional needs very in-depth knowledge, also some the all in-depth knowledge of all the services, and not only in-depth knowledge, but also they also be like that they should, they need to pick the most efficient or the best out of the all the options that are available. So these are kind of very professional kind of, so it requires, let's suppose, a minimum of, I think, 3 or 4 years of hands-on experience in the in the on AWS services, also the in the IT domain, or the cloud domain, because then only you will be able to understand the in depth of services about it. So yeah, so as, and there also a specialty. So specialty, as you already might be knowing that, so these are very expert kind of things. So specialty is the rarest certification. Very rare person you will find with this particular specialty certification, because it's very hard to crack. It's very hard. You must say that it's very hard to crack. I mean, if you have very in-depth knowledge of all these things, then only you will be able to crack this particular certification. Yeah. So as per my recommendation, for if you guys and if you guys want to start with your career in the cloud computing and with the AWS, you can begin with either with the cloud practitioner, or you can begin with the AWS certified developer associate. So even and if you can skip the cloud practitioner certification also, because you can directly jump into the developer associate. Even architect level certification also you can do that, but it requires some IT experience, because then only you will understand the scenario based question, because here all the question will be like scenario based question. Because for example, already let's suppose already a solution is implemented on the on-premise server. Now you need to move that particular solution into the cloud one. Then what all services you will be there. So all the question will be a multiple choice question, but all the four options that will be there are all right, but you need to choose the which one is the best or the efficient one. So it requires, architect level requires the some industry, at least 3 or 4 industry, at least industry knowledge. And usually the person above lead level will go for this architect level uh, certification, because a lead and above, you will get the exposure to interact with the clients, and you will go into, you will get also exposure of little bit of functional thing, how from the you will know the project from the scratch, how it's built and how the solution is implemented. So you might be the part of the architect team. So then you then that it then it will be very helpful for you to clear the certification. So as a developer, if you want to start as a developer, you just know you just need to know the services in and also if you know the services in theoretically wise, if you don't have the hands-on experience, that will also do. But for that you need to study a little bit more thoroughly, and you need to memorize all those things because you don't have the hands-on experience. So you can go, so you can either you can start with the AWS developer associate or the cloud practitioner. I will recommend you can start with the developer associate, but it just requires in-depth. You need more, or you can sincere study and in-depth knowledge of the studies. Okay. Any doubt in this particular? Okay. I hope it's clear. Okay. So the next thing is, what are the prerequisites? Or as I said, these are the not the essential one that you should have this. But if you have the knowledge of all these things, it will be make yourself really easy and very comfortable to understand the services, because AWS services or the any cloud services is nothing but the replica of what is there in what is present in the existing on-premise servers, right? So for that, for that you should, if you have knowledge of this on-premise or existing skill set or tools, then it will make you very easy for you to understand the services. Okay. So for example, you should have, at least you should have any database knowledge. There are variety of ample amount of databases available in the market. Uh, so you, at least you should have any queried language knowledge. You can have the Oracle, SQL, HANA. There's a many things, SAP, IBM DB2, PostgreSQL. So at least you should have the minimum basic knowledge of all the database, any one of the databases, how to query the table, how you can extract data from the particular table, how to alter the table or modify the structure, all these things. So if you have the knowledge of this thing, similar kind of coding style or similar kind of query will be used in the equivalent service provided by the AWS. So for example, if you have used the Oracle in your on-premise solution, you can use the RDS service provided by the AWS, RDS service provided by the AWS. So and the coding or the query that you write is exactly similar what you write in the Oracle. So if you have already have the knowledge of this particular thing in database query language, it will be very easy for you to learn the equivalent service in the AWS. Similarly, you should have the basic understanding of the Unix command. So because let's suppose if you need to basically you configure your server, or if you need to uh, uh, you handle any file kind of thing, so Unix command is very helpful, because similar kind of command is being used in the equivalent service. Let's suppose any computing service, EC2 is the one of the service provided by the AWS. Here, if you need any folder structure you need to look, or any file you need to manipulate or alter, or need to delete or create, you can do with the basic commands. So if you have the knowledge of the Unix commands, then it will be very easy for you to understand the EC2 commands, or it will be very easy for you to recognize them. Next is any programming language. That's also a very must to have. You should have any knowledge about the any one of the programming language. There are ample of programming language left support, because AWS supports almost around 10 to 12 kinds of any programming language. Which has all these things: Node.js, Java, Python, .NET, Scala, Go is always there. PHP is always is there. So there are many programming language are supported by AWS. So if you know any one of them, that will be very beneficiary for you, because if you need to whenever you need to write a program, so you can write in any language, because AWS provides you the liberty that you can use the any programming language. Because let's suppose if you write a program for a lambda function, you need to write the function a program in the in any one of the language. So that, as I said, these are the good to have, because without this you it will be very difficult you to understand the code, or understand the configuration thing, or understand the logic of the AWS services. So these are the prerequisites, you can say that. Or if you already have the knowledge of all these things, it will make you the, it will be very easy for you to understand the services, how it interacts and how it works. Okay. Any question on this? Okay. And I hope, I think a few of many majority of you might be already be knowing a database language, basic of database language, and also the programming language, because it's the part of the syllabus also. So I assume that many of have at least some exposure to this. Unix might be the new thing because most majority of now we use all the Windows thing. So Unix might, but you can easily, but there are ample of study material available on the internet. You can go and simply learn the thing, this thing. Okay.
Sir,
Yeah.
one doubt.
Yeah.
Mm,
Please.
which is the best language to know for
So yeah.
AWS?
So as I said, AWS supports I think 10 to 12 programming language. So I cannot say which one is the best because it depends on the comfort level of the individual. Because let's suppose I am pretty much comfortable in Python. So, but it might possible some other developer is comfortable in Java because he might have learned Java in from his school days or from his college days. So it's totally depends on you. You can go with either Python, Java. There's also .NET, PHP. So there is no restriction, and I cannot say that which one is the best because everyone has their because it's subjective. Because personally I prefer Python because I am also I know Python, so I do all my programming in Python only. So it depends, but at least you should have knowledge of all any one of them.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Any question or okay? Then further, yeah, the one of the I think the important slide or the important thing the, all the students or must be interested here how to prepare for this particular certification or what are the sources that you can that can be helpful for you to prepare the certification. Okay, so these are I have listed the few sources, few in the free sources and few in the paid sources that helped me a lot to clear this particular certification because earlier also I didn't have the much knowledge of AWS from the last I think 1 year only when I've been working on one of my client project that is ARP. Then then we have exposed to the cloud thing. Then from there we have started learning all these things. Okay, so you can say that even a person who don't know anything about the AWS can also clear the AWS certificate exam, developer certificate exam. So it is not mandatory that you should know you should have hands-on experience on AWS or you have already have worked on AWS. Then only you can clear the certification. But but there is also if and but you should be equally sincerely learning this thing or you need to devote equal amount of time to learn all these things because I can say that from a personal experience it requires a sincere study because I can say that from the after my engineering or I can say that after my 12th I have prepared notes for especially for this particular examination because without preparing notes and all those things it's very difficult to uh, know to understanding because there are plenty of services there are ample amount of services and each and every week and every month they upgrade something like that something new bring something new so it requires a sincere study of at least of 2 months. If you give, let's suppose, a 2 hours or 3 hours a daily, or for sincerely for 2 months, you will be able to crack it. I am the example. I can clearly say that it will be. But yeah, so it's not that key. You require hands-on experience. If you have, then it becomes very equally easy for you. Okay, so what are the sources that I have used and that for clearing the certification? So first of all, if I talk about the free sources, so these are the three YouTube channels that help me a lot, where you will find a very good content about the developer associate certification. So I have given the links specific to the developer associate, but you can easily find the equivalent YouTube equivalent videos for architect solution also, architect level also, and for the DevOps roles also. Okay, so in the same channels. So this particular, so I have begun with for initially with this one. Uh, be a better Dave. This particular YouTube channel provides a very good content in that, and it has explained all the services in a very good understandable manner, so that a layman can also understand all the services. Also, it has also given some cheat sheets at the end of every session or every new service. So that can be very helpful. You can simply note down that particular cheat sheets, which it's kind of a notes for you, so that you can, if you simply review that particular note, you will get you will revise all the things what you have learned. So these challenges are pretty much helpful and handy. So these are the channels that you can easily basically use to understand the services, what are the services present in the AWS. So these channels you can refer about 3 channels for each and every services to get the basic understanding of each and every services. So that's the must, because without having the at least the basic knowledge of each and every services, you cannot attempt the questions. That's a pretty much clear thing. So once you have watched any one of the any one of the this channels or any one of the videos, then then you are now prepared with at least you know the basic services or basic understanding of all the services that AWS provides. Then after that, and while during watching the videos or going to the stuff, it might possible that you might not understand one of the services or any of the thing in detail. So then you should always refer the AWS documentation, because AWS documentation is the most authentic source that you can rely on that. So because sometimes it provides, sometimes it's possible that this particular YouTube video has been recorded a year back, or some few years back now, and but AWS documentation will be the updated one. So whenever you have doubt, and so you should always refer the AWS documentation. So you can say that your AWS documentation will be the primary or the major source of reference. Okay. Yeah. And anyway, and whenever you have any doubt and anything you want to search, Google is always there. You will find ample amount of sources in Google. Let's suppose if I need to know about in depth about the EC2 service, if I simply write EC2 on the Google, you will find hundreds of pages, and in that you will find the hundred thousands of content there. So Google is always there for you, so you can always take the help of Google, and you have to take that help. So Google is there, so you can leverage the services of Google. Next, yeah, and if you want to do the hands-on, you can also create a free AWS account also for 1 year. AWS provides you the 1 year free AWS account where you can use their services as at some extent. There is some limitations. There is a free, you can say that free limitations there, where the services that can be used up to the free. So you can also create, I must say that you should create, because you might not be, you won't, guys won't be having the in the any AWS account yet, any IT or client account. So you can basically create a AWS free account that's valid for 1 year. So you can create that account, that then only you will at least come to know, you can see the interface, and there they can see the how that services interact with each other. Because in this YouTube channels you will also find the hands-on. They have also recorded the hands-on, so you can also do the same thing with your AWS account. So I suggest you that you should create your AWS account. It's absolutely free, but but you should be very careful while using the services, because they always indicates you what is the free limit. But because whenever you have been charged, they will inform you, or they will give you a notification that if you are using these services beyond this particular capacity, you will be charged this much of amount. Okay, so you should be careful, but you can use it, AWS account. Okay. And next is there are few paid source also that will be very helpful, and especially in the practice test you need to purchase, because practice is the key thing to crack this certification. Because the more you practice, the more confident you will become, and more, or you can say more, the more knowledge you will have. Okay. So so there is one course also. The person, let's suppose a person don't want to see this particular YouTube channels, or they're not understanding this particular videos from these few YouTube channels, then you can go for this particular Udemy course. This is very good course designed by Stefan Marek. It has given the all the detailed of the AWS services and how you can prepare for the certification. He has tried to cover all the nuances of it. So you can also purchase this particular course. It's not cost you much, around it. You guys might be knowing that Udemy courses cost you around 400, 500 only. So, and there are also very some coupon codes you will get. So you can purchase this particular Stephen Marek course, and you can see this particular course also. And but you this is optional, you can purchase it or not. But I will suggest you to purchase at least practice test from Udemy and Wizlabs, practice test from Wizlabs. These both courses will not cost you much more than 1,000. each cost is of around 490 or 500 something odd like that. And you will, if you get the coupon code, it will cost you less also. But you should purchase these practice exams because these are very good practice exams. And and it has around, Udemy course has at around 6 mock tests, and Vizlab has around I think seven seven practice mock tests, and it also has around 15 sectional practice test, sectional practice test, and also it has around 7 or 8 old practice tests. So you will get around 20 practice tests, and the more you practice, the more confident you become. That's the key for this thing. So I will recommend you to at least purchase Udemy and Vizlab practice test if you don't want to purchase this one. I didn't purchase this particular course, but few of my other colleagues have purchased and they find them very useful. So it depends on you. But if you have gone through all the YouTube videos, then I think this is very optional. But practice test is must. Okay. Any doubt in this particular thing? Anyone?
So I have a doubt.
Yeah.
So uh, we can start the certification from the foundational AWS certified cloud practitioner examination or the associate level developer associate, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
So
yes, just like so
right.
the courses that you mentioned,
Right.
uh, are they useful for cracking both the examinations or the cloud practitioner one?
Yeah, so basically, if you have studied for the developer associate, then you can easily crack the cloud practitioner. That's pretty much very obvious thing because cloud practitioner is a fundamental thing. It's a very optional certificate. That's why it's very optional. The basic, or you can say that the considerable certification in the IT industry is the associate level one. So I will suggest you that instead of going for the fundamental, you can directly go for the associate because the amount of study will be from your side will be the same. You need to study hard for both of the exam because you are the new one. It's a very new thing for you. So why not go for the better one, as per me? But definitely it's pretty much it depends on you on which path you want to drive. You can definitely go for the cloud practitioner. It totally depends on you.
Okay.
But yeah.
So the material you mentioned, by studying that, it will be helpful for cracking the developer associate exam also.
Right. Yeah. These are the same material I have used, and many of my other colleagues have also used the same material. So it's a trial and tested material. So don't worry about this thing.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any doubt? Okay. So yeah. So by using this particular sources, there are also many other sources. Also, you will find ample amount of sources in the net or Google. But these are the few ones that I referred that basically trial and tested material. So if you go by this method, then hopefully then there are more chances that you will end up in the positive side of the certification. Okay. Yeah. Next part is the what is the exam pattern, because I must tell you that AWS takes very strict exam. It's not like that the other certifications, because I have also did the certification in Talent, that's one of the ETL tool, but it's not kind of very strict. But AWS takes very strict exam, so there is no scope of any cheating, anything that kind of thing. So you need to be rely on basic totally on your knowledge only. Until unless you have a thorough knowledge or you're confident, I must say that don't attempt this exam, because it's a costlier exam. It's not that it's a free exam. Okay. So if you talk about the exam pattern, so this is the details about the associate level exam. I will also talk about the cloud practitioner also. Okay. So in the exam, basically there will be a total 65 questions. Okay. 65 questions, and all will be the multiple choice or multiple response. So I hope you might guys be knowing a difference between a multiple choice and multiple response. So multiple choice basically means there are four options and there only have one single correct answer. And multiple response is like that. There might be possible that there are five options, and there out of five, two are the correct option that you need to select. Okay. So this is not a theoretical or there's not a written exam. It's a multiple choice exam. Multiple choice and multiple choice, multiple answer type exam. Okay. Next, this is for associate. Okay, similar kind of exam is for cloud practitioner and architect level also. Next is delivery method. How you can give this exam? You can give this exam. There are two methods. Either by going to the testing center. There are various testing centers, and that you can the details of the testing center you can find on the AWS site, nearby centers around you. And there is online method. So online proctored exam. So I have given the online proctored exam. In that, you just need to schedule your exam by going to the AWS certified certification site, and for which you just need to select the which certification you want to go for. You just need to select the time for which at which time slot you want to go for, and then you need to make the payment, and the exam is there for you. Then you can appear that exam on that particular day. So an online proctored, and as I said, online proctored means there will be, always will be a mentor or a proctor in that is always watching you. So there is you need to be, there are minimum criteria, there are few criteria that you need to meet. You always need to keep on your webcam. You need to send the pictures of your exam of your room, from where you are going to exam, you are going to give the exam. Let's suppose I have given this exam from this particular room. I need to send the pictures of all the walls of to the particular on the particular link that they provide. I also need to uh, check with the proctor that is there on the other side, whether until unless they will give you a thumbs up that now you can give the exam, then only you will be allowed to give the exam. Until unless the proctor who is there on the other side is pretty much sure, or the absolutely sure that you don't have any cheating material or any kind of sources that can help you while giving the exam, they will not allow. Even the you cannot whisper the question. You need to recite the question in your mind only. You cannot speak that thing. You need to log all your doors whenever you are giving for the exam. So it's kind of very strict kind of exam that even it's very first time I have given such kind of very strict exam. So that's why you can basically you can say that, because till now the AWS exam, I think it's been almost 10 years or 12 years AWS certification is there, but till today's date there is no dumps. And dumps basically means there is no or actual exam questions that there in questions set available on the internet, or you will not find any actual exam questions set or dumps kind of thing in internet. So you can imagine that how strict they take the exam. So this kind of the exam they take. And the number of there, it's a time bound exam, so you will be allotted 130 minutes to complete the exam. So approximately 2 minutes for each question. So the moment you start the question, the timer is on. So you will be given 130 minutes to complete the exam. So within 130 minutes you need to submit the exam, and if you won't do that, it will automatically get submitted. And this way, so you need to be pretty much almost keep an eye on the time that you should be on the time. Okay, so it's a 130-minute exam. And if you go for the cloud practitioner exam, it will be 90 minutes exam. Same number of questions, 65 questions, same type of same multiple choice questions, but it will be a 90 minutes exam, because it's comparatively easy, considered comparatively easy exam. So there is a 90 minutes it's allotted for that particular exam. Cost wise, all the associate level exams cost you $150 American dollar. And there's also additional 27 rupees some charges, taxes is there. So it costs you around $177, which approximately roughly around 12,000. So any associate level certification will cost you 12,000, and cloud practitioner will cost you $100. So it's something around 8,000, around 8,000 or 9,000 in INR. So for us, it was the basically funded by our organization. So we don't need to pay that. But I think in your case, if you are going to attempt this particular examination, it will cost you around 12,000 for associate level. Language, you can give this exam in any of the language. So English is the most preferable language for us. So English is language that you all the question will be in English language. The key important thing is that as I said, this examination is very tough. So to pass the examination, so you need to score at least 720 marks out of 1000. So you can say that around 72% of passing criteria is there. So it's a lot. So you need to get distinction around in the local language or in the common sense. You need to get this distinction, because AWS want that only the person who have the good amount of knowledge should be certified. So that's their funda. So you need to at least score 720 marks out of 1,000. And one good thing is that there is no negative marking. The there is no negative marking. So you can so you should try that, and you should at least attempt all your questions. Don't leave any question. So this is the all the details about the exam. That's how they take the exam and what will be the pattern and all these things. Any question on this, or anyone, or it's pretty much clear to everyone? Okay, so I suppose it's pretty much clear to everyone. This is the exam pattern that uh, is there for AWS certification. Next is and the last section is that what are the tips and tricks that you can follow to land up on the other side of a good side of the certification. Yeah. So first of all, what these are the things that I followed, and it's been pretty much fruitful for me also, and the same thing has been pretty much fruitful for my other colleagues also. So and I'm pretty much sure if you follow the same thing, you will also be the one who among the person who have cleared the certifications. Okay, the first thing, you should start your preparation with the YouTube videos. You can watch any of the YouTube channel that I have given you. You can start with the new, and this all YouTube channels, it has around 12 hours, 16 hours of videos to understand and so I must say, you should start with the YouTube videos, because if you start with the AWS documentation, there are lot many things in the documentation, and you will get bored and you will leave that particular thing. So that so you so basically you can start with the preparation with the YouTube videos, because the thing, if you watch anything, you will be it will recognize, it will be there in your memory for the longer time. So basic thing is that you should start your preparation with the YouTube videos to get the basic understanding of each and every AWS services, what details about the AWS services. Okay, and not only watch these particular videos, while watching, I must say that you should prepare notes, handwritten notes. You can also take the screenshots, but personally, I'm not in a very much, I'm not in a favor of basically to read or to study from the online materials or the digital materials. So I always prefer preparing the handwritten notes. So as I said, after 12th, I have prepared the handwritten notes for this, but I around 120 or 130 page notes for this examination. So you can see that how much dedication it requires. So so I also recommend you also that, because you guys are already, because it's very new for you, so it's always better to prepare notes, and it will be helpful for you in future also, because it's not possible that you will remember each and everything after 6 months or 4 months also. If you have written notes with you, whenever you require or you think, you can always refer that notes. So you should always prepare notes. Next one is, whenever if you have any doubt or any confusion, you should always refer the AWS documentation, because this is the only or authentic source of reference, because it is by the AWS. So there is no source other authentic than this particular. So AWS documentation you should refer. Next is the thing is that, as I said, mock test is the key to succeed in this particular certification. The more you practice the mock test, the more understanding you will get about the questions, question framing, and types of question they asked, and how to basically get to the correct answer. So these all these things you will basically get to know when you attempt more and more mock test. So as I must recommend that you should purchase both the mock test, and it won't you cost much, but it will help you a lot, because mock test is the one that helped me a lot. Okay, and yeah, so and always, so out of at least attempt 7 to 10 mock tests before going to the final examination, because that's the practice you should require. And as you are a fresher, you don't know anything about AWS, at least you should attempt 10 mock tests. And at least, and in the initial mock test, you might be getting 40%, 30%, 50%. So don't bother about it. It's possible, because even in my first mock test I got around 55% only. So don't much worry about it. It's happened. It will happen because you in the first 3 or 4 mock tests you will know the different types of questions they ask and how they frame the questions. As I said, there are many services to do the same thing in AWS. This, let's suppose I need to store the data. I can store the data in S3 service also. I can store in IDS also. I can store in MongoDB also. There are many various services of to do the same thing. But which one is the best suitable for that particular question? You need to figure out. So that idea you will get when you solve more and more question. So you should attempt more and more mock tests, and at least before going to the actual final exam, you should score more than 80% in your last 2 or 3 consecutive exam. Then you will, it's like that you are confident and you will feel and you are now ready for the actual final exam. Okay, next is don't panic if you get that, as I said, don't panic if you get a very low scores in starting mock test. Don't panic. You don't panic if you don't know a few questions. Let's suppose there always be a scenario that in every mock test you will get 3 or 4 a 4 question that is absolutely new to you. And it's very obvious because AWS provides lot of services and you cannot study each and every services in detail as until unless you do the hands-on. Even after hands-on also you cannot know each and everything. So don't panic about that. Leave that particular thing. So as I said, you would be requiring roughly around 72%. So if I give you a rough estimate, out of 65 questions, target to at least correct 50 questions. And if and I pretty much sure that if you correct 50 questions, you will be on the passing side of the certification. Okay, so so that means you have buffer of 15 questions. So don't panic about that, and don't waste time on the question that you don't know, because as I said, you will be only getting 130 minutes to answer all 65 questions. If you waste 5 or 10 minutes on one of the question, that will hamper your other question that you can correct it, answer it correctly. So don't waste timing much time on the question that you don't know. Simply mark it as a review, and you can simply review it in the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes when you are, and you okay. And you can also always use the elimination technique while for guessing. So let's suppose you got a question and don't know anything about it. So just simply in the first glance, if you pretty much confident that you don't know anything, mark it as review, and after reviewing all the questions, and then attempt for the then go for the all the review questions. And in that review questions also, try to eliminate options. And all are you all are engineers, so you are pretty much well versed with the elimination technique on all the competitive exams you all follow. So you can basically uh, use this particular technique. At least try to eliminate 2 option out of 4, and then you can guess it from the remaining two one. So there are 50% chances that you will get it right. Okay, so these are the few techniques that you can follow. If you follow, then you will be on the landing you will be landing on the positive side of the certification. And the last thing is that there is a one technique by which you can avail extra 30 minutes for your exam. So by default you will get 130 minutes for to complete your exam. But by following this particular document, I have basically jot down all the steps that you need to follow. This is the Word document. You can simply open it and follow all the steps while scheduling your exam. So that will provide you extra 30 minutes without any cost. So now you will have around 160 minutes to complete the exam. So that's also a liberty. That's also an advantage that you can get. So these are the few tips and tricks that you can follow, that will help you a lot in clearing the certification. So that's all I have. So that's all I think I have from my side. So now, anyone has any questions and anything want to ask, discuss, feel free to ask. Everyone is,
Saurabh, I want to ask one question that
yeah,
in the examination, as you said that it is the MCQ type or the
right,
multiple choice type,
right.
do they ask the question based upon the programming or something like that?
Basically, there are very, you don't need to write any code. That's pretty much
Okay.
sure. It might possible that they will give you a snippet of four options of code. You need to select one of them, but it's very rare. It's very rare. There hardly a question on this particular thing. Or or vice versa, you can get. Let's suppose they will provide you a piece of code in a question, and you need to interpret that particular code with the correct
Okay.
option. So, but it's very rare. Hardly one or maximum two question will be there. Even so, that's what I said. Even though you don't have the hands-on experience, you can clear this exam
Okay.
if you have the.
And since the content of this is very vast, right?
Yeah.
So, what are the chances that one is going to crack the exam in the first attempt?
So it's that side that it entirely depends on the person's preparation. So the basic criteria you can say that if you have, let's suppose, if you have given the 10 mock test, and out of 10 mock tests, if you are constantly scoring more than 70% in each of the mock tests, or at least in the six out of 10 in the last four mock tests, then that's give you the pretty much idea that now you are confident and now you are understanding the question and the framing of the question. So that's what I said. The mock test will be the key thing. The more you practice, the more understanding you will get, and all these mock tests will have the answers, also solution for, and they also give the very good explanation that why this option is right or why the option is wrong. So that will help you a lot to prepare prepare for the examination. So what I did basically, I first of all I have watched one of the video series to get the basic understanding of all the services. Then I have directly gone for the mock test. Then I have basically for mock test. Then after attending each and every mock test, at the end I evaluate myself. Self evaluation is I evaluate myself that which questions I got wrong. There will be a clear cut evaluation there. You will get the section where you will get the incorrect option and correct option and their answer also. Then I jot down the things that is very new to me. Let's suppose there are new services suddenly came in the question, and I don't know about that particular service, so that I write that particular thing in my notes. So like that I prepared a notes. So whenever a new thing comes to me, I and which obvious that I may get that answer wrong. So I what I did basically, I jot down that particular thing and I tried that whenever a question comes on the next mock test on that particular topic, I should get it correct. So this is the normal practice that I follow.
Okay. And how good it is to go for the PG program into the cloud computing? Like there are many universities are there which are offering this kind of thing, like boot camp kind of thing.
Right, right. So yeah. So that's a pretty much good question. So basically, because as a fresher, there's very rare chance that you will get a chance to work on the cloud computing directly. Because even I also got the chance 1 or 2 years back only. Because no one will give a fresher directly a chance to work on the directly cloud computing projects. Because for that you would at least require in some industry knowledge about, and also require some basically basic skill set like that. As I said, SQL should be there. You should have some Java, any programming language, or you should have some understanding of basic Unix commanding. Then you will be able to relate that thing with your on-premise solution to the cloud solution. So it might possible that in the starting phase of your career, uh, you won't get chance to learn or to work on this particular cloud computing. So don't worry about that, even though you don't get chance in the beginning. But always you can mold your career after 2 years or 3 years in the cloud computing domain. The way I am doing like that. Initially I am working as a ETL developer there. Now initially I have molding my career towards the analytics part and the cloud computing part career. So gradually you can move your career in like that. So in post graduation also, if you have already pursue your masters in post graduation in cloud computing, that will basically give you more exposure to the real world scenarios and the real world solution and how exactly the services works. And basically it will be a more in depth knowledge about all the things. And on top of it, if you have the certification of architect or associate level, then that is the icing on the cake. And whenever you go into the market, you will have the pretty much valued on you will have very good value in the market. So that will pretty much help you. I hope I answer your question.
Yes, yes. Thank you for that.
Yeah, so one thing I want to make sure that it's not like that if you have done the certification you will get the clear cut job or the good opportunity or the you will directly get the opportunity. But it's as we all know that certification is just a proof of concept, like that you know the things. So certification is not like that. If you have done the certification, you will directly get the good amount of job and good placements. So, but it will be helpful. It is just like a add-on tool that you can that will help you from the other student, or that can distinguish you from the other students or other colleagues.
Yes,
Yeah. So that's
and
very helpful.
in fact, it will give you the kind of confidence that you
Right.
are AWS certified.
Certified. Yeah. And it will
Yes,
basically it will highlight you from the others.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, any other questions from attendees?
I will be sharing this particular slide with.
Yes.
I don't know how I can share. How can
Uh,
share? I
you
can share.
you can send it to me. I will
Okay.
send to the participant along with
Sure.
the
Sure.
recording. Okay. So
Okay.
thank you very much, Saurabh, for taking a time from your busy schedule and
No problem.
making aware us about this all AWS, the roadmap, how to crack the AWS exam, what are the preparations, what are the free resources, paid resources there. So it was really good session, and thank you very much from my side and from the participants.
Thanks a lot, sir. So even I am very pleasure to provide at least help some few of my juniors or the students that I know whatever knowledge I have. So I hope this session will be a bit helpful for the students, or and at any moment you require any doubt, you have any doubt or any you want to discuss anything with me. These are my few contact details. You can always feel free to reach out to me at any time. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Saurabh.
Yeah. Thanks a
Thank you.
lot,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.